One thing you must do to overcome anxiety is something that many people today live with. It's not something that happens to you just once or twice, but it often feels like a constant companion. We all know that life is full of challenges, uncertainties, and the unexpected. Yet, many of us are unable to face them with the clarity and calmness we desire. Anxiety often emerges when we find ourselves caught in a battle with what is happening, what might happen, and what has already happened. So, what is it that can help you overcome this constant storm in your mind? The one thing you must do to overcome anxiety is to establish a deep and abiding connection with the present moment. Anxiety arises from a mind that is constantly elsewhere, either stuck in past regrets or fears about the future. But you must realize that the only reality you have is right here, right now. To break free from the grip of anxiety, you must anchor yourself in the present, and in doing so, everything else will begin to fall into place. If you can master this one thing, being fully present, you will witness a profound transformation in your life. No longer will anxiety hold you captive. You will experience a sense of peace, clarity, and purpose that transcends all the noise of your thoughts. It's not about suppressing anxiety or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about seeing through the illusion and returning to the only place that matters, this moment. Anxiety is rooted in time, not in the present moment. It thrives on the mental patterns that pull us backward to relieve past mistakes, regrets, and unresolved emotions, or push us forward with worries about things that may or may not happen in the future. These two aspects of time, past and future, are where anxiety finds its grip. In the past, we might revisit moments of failure or hurt, replaying them in our minds over and over again. We tell ourselves that we could have done something differently, or that we haven't learned enough from the past to avoid making the same mistakes again. Similarly, when we think about the future, we imagine all sorts of potential problems, things that could go wrong, challenges we might face, or even dangers we can't foresee. This constant shifting between these two realms of time is like feeding anxiety, because in either the past or the future we have no control, no certainty, and no peace. When we are lost in these dimensions of time, the present moment slips away unnoticed. The more we cling to the past or fret about the future, the less we are able to fully experience what is happening right now. This is where anxiety grows. It is the mind's inability to accept the present as it is. We are not living in the moment. We are either caught in the shadows of what has already been or trapped in the worries of what might come. And in this space, we often forget that we have the power to shape our response to life, not by controlling time, but by embracing the present moment with full awareness. By focusing on the now, we can begin to loosen the grip that anxiety has on us. It is not that past or future events do not matter, but they should not hold power over our ability to live in the present. When we shift our attention to what is happening now, whether it's the sensation of the air around us, the feeling of our body as we breathe, or the sounds that surround us, we start to break free from the hold that time has on our minds. Anxiety diminishes when we step out of the illusion of time and become fully present. The present is where peace is found, not in the past or the future. And only by grounding ourselves in the now can we let go of the anxiety that holds us back. The present moment is all you have. This simple yet profound truth is often overlooked because our minds are constantly distracted, caught up in memories of the past or anxieties about the future. We have a tendency to live outside the present, thinking that happiness or peace lies somewhere in the past, in a moment we wish we could revisit, or somewhere in the future when certain things fall into place. But the reality is that the past is gone and the future is unknown. The only true reality you can experience, the only time in which you can act, think and feel, is the present. When you reflect on the past, you are essentially engaging in a mental construct. The past no longer exists except in your memories, which are more often than not distorted by emotions and perceptions that have changed over time. The present moment, on the other hand, is vivid, real and unfolding right before you. Yet most people fail to experience it because their minds are preoccupied with past regrets or future worries. Similarly, the future is a projection of your mind, a series of what-if scenarios that may or may not come to pass. The mind imagines all sorts of possibilities, many of them frightening or overwhelming based on what you expect to happen. But the truth is, no one can truly know what will happen in the next moment, let alone the next week or year. The future is as uncertain as it is infinite, and by worrying about it, you are giving your energy to something that hasn't even occurred yet. By living in the present, you free yourself from the burden of past regrets and future anxieties. The present is where you can take action, where you can choose how to respond to life. It is the only time in which you have any influence, any ability to make a decision or change. In this moment, you can breathe, you can think clearly, and you can act with purpose and intention. Furthermore, the present moment is where you experience life in its most direct and unfiltered form. When you are truly present, you can engage fully with the world around you, the colors, the sounds, the sensations without distraction. In these moments of presence, life is richer, deeper and more meaningful. Your relationships are more genuine, your work more fulfilling, and your own sense of self more grounded. In a world filled with noise, distractions and endless possibilities, learning to be fully present is a skill that brings clarity, peace and purpose. Every moment you spend fully engaged in the present is a moment free from the weight of the past and the uncertainty of the future. This is where true freedom lies. The past cannot be undone and the future cannot be controlled, but the present is yours to shape, to experience and to live. The present moment is the only moment that truly matters. Your mind is constantly in conflict, and much of this inner turmoil stems from the tension between different parts of yourself, the past, the future, and the expectations you impose on the present. We often fail to recognize that the mind is not a single unified entity, but a collection of competing thoughts, emotions, desires, and fears. Each moment your mind is juggling countless pieces of information, often pulling you in different directions. These internal conflicts arise because the mind is rarely in alignment with the present moment. Instead, it is consumed by thoughts of what has happened or what might happen, and it struggles to find peace. On one hand, the mind continuously revisits past experiences, replaying old conversations, mistakes or regrets. It searches for answers, closure or meaning in things that no longer exist. These repetitive thoughts can create feelings of guilt, anger or sadness, making it difficult to move forward. You may find yourself trapped in a cycle of self-criticism, blaming yourself for past actions, or perhaps wishing you could go back and change something. The past, in this sense, becomes a battleground within your mind where you fight against things that have already occurred and cannot be altered. On the other hand, your mind is constantly projecting into the future, creating scenarios, fears and hopes that may never materialize. You imagine potential problems, disappointments or challenges that could arise, often imagining the worst-case scenario. In these moments, the mind is not rooted in reality but is caught in a future that is uncertain and largely beyond your control. This focus on the future generates anxiety as you feel unprepared, uncertain or even powerless. The mind becomes a projector of fear and desire, constantly rehearsing for situations that haven't happened yet and may never happen. Between the past and the future, your mind struggles to find peace in the present. It often feels as if there is a constant push and pull, the pull of memories and past experiences and the push of what might come of the unknown. The present, which is the only time that truly matters, gets lost in the noise. This is the internal conflict. The mind is rarely at ease, constantly either dwelling on what has been or what could be. Additionally, there are the conflicts within the mind related to personal desires, goals and values. You may find yourself torn between what you want and what you think you should do. Perhaps you desire freedom but feel trapped by responsibility. Maybe you yearn for success but fear failure. These competing desires and fears create further division within the mind, making it harder to feel settled or unified. The real challenge comes when the mind is not in harmony with the body. When your thoughts and emotions are scattered, your body feels tense, restless and uncomfortable. This internal disharmony can create physical stress, leading to tension, headaches or even exhaustion. The mind's conflict is not just a mental issue, but one that affects the whole being, pulling both your physical and emotional energy in multiple directions at once. To overcome this internal conflict, it's essential to recognize that much of the struggle comes from the mind's refusal to accept the present moment. The mind is constantly looking for something outside of itself to either relive or anticipate, rather than experiencing the simplicity and clarity that the present offers. The more the mind resists what is, the more internal conflict you will experience. The key to quieting this conflict is not to fight your thoughts, but to let go of the grip that past and future have over you. When you allow yourself to experience the present fully, the internal opposition begins to dissolve. The mind, which was once divided and conflicted, finds peace when it is no longer scattered across time but instead centered in the here and now. Peace comes from within, yet so many of us search for it outside of ourselves. We often believe that peace is something to be found in the world through achievements, material possessions, relationships, or circumstances. We think that if we could only change this or attain that, then peace would follow. But in reality, external circumstances are fleeting and they are not the true source of lasting peace. Peace is not something that can be acquired or attained, it is something that must be realized from within. The world around you is full of noise, distractions, and constant changes. There will always be challenges, conflicts, and uncertainties. If you base your peace on external factors, you are bound to find yourself constantly shifting between calm and unrest. A situation that once brought you peace may later become a source of stress, and something that seemed chaotic can sometimes become calm. External peace is unpredictable, it depends on circumstances, and since life is always in flux, this form of peace is unstable. True peace, however, is independent of what is happening around you. It comes from the ability to remain grounded and undisturbed, regardless of external conditions. The reason peace must come from within is that the mind itself is the source of both peace and turmoil. When the mind is unsettled, it creates disturbances, thoughts, judgments, and emotions that pull you away from the calm center of your being. The more you are attached to these fluctuations of the mind, the more you experience anxiety, fear, and stress. But when you learn to disengage from these mental patterns, when you realize that you are not your thoughts and emotions, peace naturally arises. It is an innate quality of your being, something that is always present, though often obscured by the distractions of the mind. The key to finding peace within is the practice of stillness. Stillness is not the absence of action or thought, but the ability to be undisturbed by them. When you sit in silence, without attachment to any particular thought, emotion, or outcome, you create the space for peace to arise. The more you practice this stillness, the more you realize that peace is not something you must search for, it is already there, always present beneath the layers of mental noise. Peace comes when you stop resisting what is. Resistance is a form of conflict, and conflict with reality only brings turmoil. When you accept the present moment exactly as it is without judgment, without expectation, you make room for peace to enter. Acceptance does not mean resignation or passivity, it means recognizing that the present moment is the only reality you have, and you have the choice to approach it with calmness without the need to change or control it. Another aspect of finding peace within is letting go of the constant need for validation or approval from others. We often look outside ourselves for reassurance, for confirmation that we are enough or that we are doing the right thing. But when you realize that your sense of worth is not dependent on others' opinions, you stop relying on external validation to feel at peace. Your inner sense of self becomes solid and unshakable, and with that comes a deep sense of peace. Peace also arises when you let go of attachment. The more you hold on to things, whether they are material possessions, relationships, or even identities, the more you create inner tension. Attachments are rooted in the fear of loss, and fear disrupts peace. When you learn to live without excessive attachment, you open yourself to the flow of life. You can enjoy and appreciate what you have without clinging to it or fearing its disappearance. This freedom from attachment allows peace to emerge naturally as you no longer tie your sense of well-being to transient things. Lastly, peace comes from cultivating an attitude of gratitude. When you focus on what is already present and good in your life, rather than fixating on what is missing or what is wrong, your internal state shifts. Gratitude creates a positive, expansive energy within, and in that space, peace can thrive. Even in the midst of difficulty, when you find something to be thankful for, you are making a choice to foster peace in your mind and heart. Ultimately, the peace that comes from within is not a fleeting moment of calm, but a way of being. It is the result of releasing the grip that the mind has on you, of letting go of the need to control or resist, and of embracing the present moment with acceptance and presence. When you cultivate inner peace, you become a steady, unwavering force, no matter what external circumstances may arise. It is the deepest kind of peace, one that remains untouched by the world around you, rooted in the realization that true peace has always been within you. Focusing on the breath is one of the simplest yet most profound practices for calming the mind and cultivating presence. The breath is always with you, constant, steady and accessible in every moment. But so often, we are unaware of it. It happens automatically without any conscious effort as we move through our days. And yet the breath holds within it an incredible power to bring us back to the present moment, to center us when we are overwhelmed by thoughts or emotions, and to restore a sense of calm when anxiety or stress take hold. When you direct your attention to the breath, you are immediately anchoring yourself in the present. The breath, in its natural rhythm, is a doorway into the here and now. Thoughts, on the other hand, tend to pull us away from the present, either dragging us into the past or projecting us into the future. But the breath is always here, always happening in the present, reminding us of the one constant reality we have access to. When you focus on your breath, you become rooted in the moment, and in that stillness, the noise of the mind begins to quiet down. The act of focusing on the breath involves more than just observing it mechanically. It requires presence and awareness. Pay attention to how the air feels as it enters your nostrils, how it fills your lungs, how your chest or belly expands and contracts with each inhalation and exhalation. There is a rhythm to the breath that mirrors the rhythm of life itself, constant cycles of in and out, of expansion and contraction, of stillness and movement. By tuning into the breath, you connect with this natural flow and learn to synchronize your own energy with the larger flow of life. As you focus on the breath, you may find that your thoughts begin to drift away. At first, this can be difficult because the mind is naturally restless. Thoughts come and go like waves, each one vying for your attention. When this happens, simply notice the thought without judgment and gently bring your attention back to the breath. It is not necessary to suppress the thoughts or force them away, rather you allow them to arise, acknowledge them, and then let them pass, just as clouds pass across the sky. The breath becomes your anchor, a point of return whenever the mind wanders. In the beginning, focusing on the breath may feel challenging, especially if the mind is particularly busy or agitated. But with practice, it becomes easier to sustain your attention. The breath is a natural, calming rhythm, and the more you return to it, the more your nervous system learns to settle. The simple act of following the breath helps to reduce the intensity of your thoughts and emotions, creating space for clarity and calm. It is a subtle but powerful way to shift from the chaotic swirl of thoughts to a place of stillness and focus. Breathing also has a profound effect on the body. As you focus on your breath, you begin to notice how it affects your physical state. When we are stressed or anxious, our breathing tends to become shallow, quick or irregular. In contrast, when we focus on slow, deep and deliberate breaths, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes relaxation and calm. Deep breathing can help to release tension from the body, lower heart rate, and reduce the feeling of tightness in the chest or stomach. By bringing awareness to the breath, you harmonize the mind and body, creating a sense of balance and wholeness. In moments of stress or anxiety, focusing on the breath offers a way to regain control over the body and mind. It is a reminder that no matter how turbulent the thoughts or emotions may be, there is always a refuge in the simplicity of the breath. When you return to it, you remind yourself that you are not your thoughts and you do not have to be overwhelmed by them. The breath is always available to help you center yourself, to remind you that in the midst of chaos, there is always a moment of peace waiting for you to notice. The practice of focusing on the breath is also an invitation to cultivate mindfulness. When you give your full attention to the breath, you are practicing the art of being fully present without distraction or judgment. This moment of awareness creates a space for you to experience life in its most direct form without the filters of the past or the projections of the future. With each breath, you can experience the world as it is without interference from the noise in your mind. This presence is a gateway to deeper peace and understanding, as it allows you to see life clearly and respond to it with wisdom and grace. In essence, focusing on the breath is a tool that reconnects you with the simplicity of being, with the reality of the present moment. It offers you a way to step out of the constant stream of thoughts and emotions and into a state of stillness where peace resides. It is a practice that, with time, strengthens your ability to return to the present moment, to find calm amidst chaos, and to live with greater clarity and purpose. The breath, in its quiet simplicity, is always there to guide you home to yourself. In the end, the journey to overcoming anxiety and finding peace is not about seeking something outside of yourself or trying to control every aspect of your life. It is about learning to reconnect with the present moment, becoming a witness to your thoughts, and embracing the breath as a grounding force. With these practices, you begin to dissolve the internal conflicts that cloud your mind and open up the space for clarity, calm, and deeper understanding. Remember, peace is not a destination but a state of being, an inner refuge that exists within you, waiting to be discovered and nurtured. Every breath you take is a reminder that you have the power to return to this moment, to let go of past regrets and future anxieties, and to experience the simplicity and beauty of being fully alive right here, right now. So take a deep breath, ground yourself in the present, and trust that by continually coming back to this moment, you are already on the path to inner peace.